Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste, everybody. This evening on page 47 of the Bhagavad Gita, we're going to begin this discussion of chapter 2. And he who is victorious over all said, and remember Sanjay is narrating to Blind Ambition, the blind king. He's going to tell him the story of what's happening in the battle of Kurukshetra. And here we have this field of karma, this field of dharma. It's right here in my heart. Part of it's in my mind. A lot of it's in my mind. And I'm trying to get it out of my mind and get it into my heart. And that's the biggest part of the project. To get it out of your mind, don't think your way through. You can't have an intellectual love affair with God. You got to have it right in your heart. You got to love her with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul. And so we're going to describe this battle that's going on. Sanjay is he who is victorious over all. And he said, then the slayer of too much, that's Krishna's name, spoke these words to he whose eyes were filled by tears, being overcome by misery and sorrow. And so Krishna was talking to Arjuna, and Arjuna is the clarity of pure devotion. He's sad because he's just about to go to battle with all his ego and attachments. I don't want to kill my attachments. I'm attached to them. I like being important. I don't want to fight this battle and become nirakar, nirguna. I don't want to become one with God. I only say I want to become one with God. But if you ask me to give up my attachments, I would prefer to keep my attachments and become one with God. And I'd like to be able to go to the kitchen afterwards and tell everybody how great it was. And the respected Supreme Divinity said, clarity of pure devotion, from where has such despair presented itself at such a time as this? It is not the most noble character, and it needs neither to fame nor to heaven. Son of she who excels, Arjuna, do not yield to sentimentality. Here you are mourning the loss or the impending loss of all of your attachments. Here you are so sentimental. I'm going to give up all the things that I love the most to be one with God. Do not allow such a feeling to rise in you. Renounce this lowly weakness of the heart and stand up with the greatness of illumination. Give up all this nonsense, mourning for the loss of your attachments and your ego. If you want to be divine, then come to God and give up everything. And if you don't want to give up everything, then leave all this talk about being one with God. What nonsense, you're going to sit in the kitchen all day and talk about enlightenment. Incidentally, Srini Baba wrote this magnificent exposition on the path to enlightenment, and Pushpa put so many beautiful pictures, and it just arrived on our website before class. So after class, please take a look at the various steps that we can take towards enlightenment. And clarity of pure devotion said, slayer of too much, how shall I engage who rules fear and who injures his foes with weapons in armed confrontation? How can I fight with my gurus? How can I fight with all the thoughts that are the good thoughts? I have to be thoughtless in order to come to God? Now you're telling me I have to slay all the thoughts? How can I fight with the good thoughts? They are both worthy of adoration, O destroyer of enemies. Rather than slaying gurus of such great feelings, it is better to enjoy begging in this world. I would rather be a beggar. With the slaying of gurus, I understand that all desires and objects of enjoyment will be stained with blood. Even this we do not know, whether our victory or their victory is preferable. We know. We know every time we confront negativity that it's better to have the forces of illumination prevail than it is to have the negativities prevail. We don't even know who will win. Deployed before us are the supporters of blind ambition. By killing them, we do not even wish to live. The defect of attachment is mocking my intrinsic nature. Of course, our attachments are mocking and obscuring our intrinsic nature. Our intrinsic nature is Sat-Chit Ananda. It's pure beauty and truth and consciousness. The truth of infinite consciousness is bliss. Sat-Chit Ananda. That bliss is our intrinsic nature, and my attachments are mocking my illumination of the bliss of infinite consciousness. Because confusion obstructs my consciousness all the time, I am asking you, hey, you be my guru, what is the ideal? And we just had that question. How do you define Dharma? What is the ideal of perfection? I am your disciple who has taken refuge in you. Tell me, instruct me of that which is best without a doubt. I want to know what is Dharma. And I want to know what's the ideal. What's the best in everyone's best interests. For even if we obtain undisputed wealth, kingdom, or even lordship over the gods, I cannot see how to rid myself of this grief which saps the strength from my body. I'm sorrowing for the loss of my attachments even while I have them. I haven't even given them up yet and I'm already sad. That's the nature of attachment. We fear even the impending loss of the attachment. We're not even sure what's going to happen if they are lost or if they will be lost, but we don't even want to think about what would happen if I lose them. He who is victorious over all said, having thus spoken to controller of the senses, Krishna, who has conquered sleep, Arjuna, of great illumination, said to he who is one-pointed light, Krishna. How many times they call each other by these great, great epithets. You who have controlled your senses, you who have conquered sleep, you who are one-pointed light, I will not do battle. And he became silent. I don't want to fight with my attachments. I don't want to fight with all the thoughts that are going into my mind. Let me just be silent and still. And of course Krishna says, no, no, no. You can't do it that way. The only way you can be silent and still is to win the battle. Oh, descendant of the light of wisdom, then in the middle, between the two armies, right there in the center of your forehead, right in the third eye, if you have the negativities and the divine thoughts on both sides of your brain, right in the center of in your cranium, you have the clarity of pure devotion and the supreme Lord of all, merging in one brilliant illumination. A smiling controller of senses, Krishna said these words to he who was sorrowing. The respected supreme divinity said, you speak words of wisdom while you grieve without cause. You haven't lost anything yet. Why are you grieving already? Here are all these big talking. You should go sit in the kitchen of the Devi Mandir. The learned grieve for neither those from whom life has fled, nor from those who yet remain alive. They don't grieve for the dead, and they don't grieve for those who are alive. Never was I not, nor you, nor these rulers of men, nor shall any of us ever cease to be. We're here eternally. Just as the wearer of the body, that's me, I'm wearing a body, that's each one of you. The wearer of the body is present in the body in childhood and youth and old age. I was here when I was a baby. I was here when I was a young man. I'm still here today. Chances are I'm going to be here for a while longer. Just as the wearer of the body is present in the body, in childhood and youth and old age, in the same way, at the end of the body comes another acquisition. Thinkers are not mistaken about this. In other words, when I leave this shirt, I'm going to take it off and I'm going to put it in the laundry, and Shivani's going to come by and throw it in the washing machine. Parvati will put in the soap, and I'm sure Seema will come and press it when it's done. In the same way, when I leave this body behind, they'll just give me another body. Thinkers.
That body will not press.
I won't press, but I will be impressed. O son of who takes away the deficiency of others, Arjuna, cold and hot, pleasure and pain, merely touch. They are temporary and impermanent. You got to go beyond duality. O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna, be beyond them. The wearer of the body is not subject to the body. He just wears the body. Aim, ring, clean, chamundai viche. It continues to transform, but the wearer of the body is the same. Oh, best of people, those people who are not tormented, who experience pain with the equanimity of pleasure, those are they whom thinkers conceive to have attained immortality. If you're always the same, if you're always in equilibrium, if you become the Chaitanya watching the Samvit as the continual transformation of Aim, Ram, Claim, you are the witness of the transformation of nature. You are eternal. You're not changing. You're the wearer of the body. The untrue cannot be known to exist, nor can the true be known to exist. If it's not true, it doesn't exist. Jagat Mithya Brahma Satya. So the essence of both has been perceived by those who have intuitive vision of this principle. If you can understand that if it's sat, if it's truth, it's eternal. And if it's untruth, it's maya. It's false. Even though it appears to be true for a moment, it's gonna change. Know that of which this all is a consequence, that adhikaran, the first cause, to be indestructible. No one has the capacity to destroy the imperishable. The soul within you, the wearer of the body, that tat, that principle, is eternal, indestructible, immutable. These bodies are perishable. Who wears the body is eternal, undefinable, indestructible. Therefore, you should do battle, O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna. You have to achieve the light. You have to represent the forces of light. They both do not know who presumes the capacity to kill and who thinks it to be killed. It neither kills nor is it killed. It does not take birth, nor does it experience death. Nor does it become only after manifestation. It puts on a body, takes it off, puts on another one, takes it off. It is the eternal soul. It is unborn, eternal, everlasting since ancient times, and it is not slain when the body is thought to die. Your soul will not be slain. It lives eternally. It's part of God. Son of she who excels Arjuna, that man who knows it as indestructible, eternal, free from decay, how can he kill? And by whom whom can he be killed? As a man discards old worn-out clothes and accepts other new ones, just so the wearer of the body discards old worn-out bodies and enters into other new ones. Weapons cannot cut it, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it. It cannot be cut. It cannot be burnt. It cannot be wet. It cannot be dried. It is eternal, existent within all, consistent, immovable for all time. It is said to be unmanifest, inconceivable, without change. And therefore, knowing it as such, one should not grieve. You're only attached to that which changes, and you're saying, don't change, I like things the way they are. You're bound to suffer pain. If you say, I love it, the eternal, immutable, indestructible divinity within everything, I don't care about the form. I only love the soul, the essence. Then you remain one in stillness and peace. If you were to regard it as continually taking birth and continually dying, then also you should not grieve, O you of mighty arms, Arjun. For those who take birth, death is certain. And just as from death, birth is certain. Therefore you should not grieve over that which must be. So there are two possibilities. Either it is eternal, and it's never going to change. Just the form that it wears will change. Or it dies and it takes birth. And then it dies and takes birth again. And death and birth are eternal. So then why would you grieve? Why be sorry? I'm going to give up these attachments. Why should I fear giving up the attachments? They'll come back, and they'll take another form, and I'll be attached to something else. Maybe I'll get lucky and attach myself to a pure guru who can give me an example of the way that I can extricate myself from attachment. Or maybe I'll just get attached again to the same old stuff that I was attached to last time around.
There's no or.
There's no or. Okay, everybody, this is the choice. Mother says no or. There are no options. You will become attached to a pure guru whose example will take you into the center of being. All beings were unmanifest before and will become unmanifest after, O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjun. They are manifest only in the middle. Then why sorrow? So very few perceive it as wonderful, and even fewer others speak of it as wonderful. Very few others hear of it as wonderful, while the majority do not understand it, even having heard. So there are so many people who, of all the multitude of people that have heard about it, many, very, very few understand it. Of the few that understand it, even fewer perceive it. Even fewer speak of it. Even fewer hear of it. O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjun, the wearer of the body who dwells in the body is eternal and does not ever admit to death. Just keeps on going wearing bodies. Therefore you should not grieve for any unmanifested existence. But neither will you grieve for the loss of manifested existence, nor will you grieve for the loss of unmanifested existence. You are the wearer of the body. You are the eternal soul. You are the supreme divinity. Considering your own ideal of perfection, you should not waver. For a man born to fight, fighting for the ideal of perfection is better than any other reason known. You're Kshatriya. You've got to go to battle. We've been commissioned to fight this battle between ignorance and light, between darkness and wisdom. We are enjoined, we are compelled to fight this battle. There is a compelling necessity. Otherwise, we have to surrender to the forces of selfishness. That's not acceptable. Mom's not going to let us do that. Of its own accord, the gate of heaven has opened to you, son of she who excels Arjuna. Happy are the warriors who attain to such a battle. If we could fight on behalf of the forces of light, isn't that a privilege? Rather than being consumed by the forces of darkness and just throwing in the towel and giving up immediately. If you refuse to engage in this battle for the ideal of perfection, then you will incur the sin of destroying the fame of your value of your ideal. If you won't stand up for your ideals, who will? If you are in love with light, if you support wisdom, if you think that is your highest dharma, then you have a compelling necessity to stand up and speak out. If you concede and give up your ideals just for fear of losing your attachments, then you incur the sin of speaking in derogation or destroying your own ideal. And people without ideals, they accept mediocrity as a way of life. That's not worthy of a warrior, not like us, who are striving for perfection in the highest sense. We won't accept mediocrity as a way of life. How boring. We're here in this manifested existence. Obviously, we want to manifest the highest ideal. So we have a compelling necessity to strive and speak out on behalf of our ideals, to support the ideals, to fight the battle, to win the ideal. We will not concede and surrender to darkness. Beings will speak in derogation of your undying ideal, and for the highly respected, such derogation is worse than death. Great warriors may think that from fear of battle you desisted, and you who are held in high esteem will attain smallness. If you think that you can run away from battle, then what ideals can you uphold? What is the value of your sankalpa? What is the value of your lakshya? What is the value of your goal? How do you define your objective? Where is your commitment? You just gave in. Don't surrender so easily. Fight the battle. Your enemies will speak many unspeakable words in ridicule of your capacity. Won't this be painful? They'll say, hey, you've got ideals, but you won't stand up for them. You've got a definition of clarity and perfection, and you won't even appear on the battlefield to support it. You ran from the battle. Won't that be painful? You will have no recourse but to accept mediocrity as a way of life. And for a person who is held in high esteem for loving God, accepting worldliness as the way of life, isn't that painful? I think that's like relegating ourselves to a lifetime without God. Yuck. If you are killed, you will attain heaven, and if you are victorious, the enjoyment of the earth. Therefore arise, O son of who takes away the deficiency of others, Arjuna. Determined to fight the war, make a sankalpa. You will support the light. You will support the right. You will speak out on behalf of the justice, and you will speak against injustice. Perceive with equanimity pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat. Only with such preparation for war can you be free from sin. Put yourself in the balance of samyavasta, shamanya avashta, in the equilibrium, in the perfection of equilibrium. Only then can you move towards samadhi. Only then can you be free from conflict, when you make yourself in equilibrium. This has presented to you in the philosophy of Sankhya, the enumeration of the principles, the union with the intellect. So we have Purusha and Prakriti, and the union between the two. This is called the Sankhya philosophy. It's the philosophy of discrimination. The Prakriti is always changing and it's transient, and the Purusha is always the same. Puru Isha, the full and complete and perfect consciousness. The full and complete perfect consciousness is unchanging. And this is the union, the discrimination of what belongs to my Purush and what belongs to my Prakriti. This is the discrimination we want. How much of the transient world shall I invite into my life, and how much of the eternal? What's the balance for me in every moment of time, in every circumstance? Now hear of that intelligence united with which you will be liberated from the bonds of action. In this way, neither loss of effort nor contrary results can be known. Even striving towards this ideal a little takes away the greatest fears. O delight of action, Arjuna! Who has defined the goal in this way has one single mind. I have only one thought. Scattered in infinite directions or branches are the thoughts of those whose goals are not defined. Please define your goals. Scattered in an infinite number of ways are the minds of those whose goals are not defined. Define the goal. Define the path. Make the sankalpa. Make the commitment with a capital C. And then we proceed. O son of she who excels Arjuna, there are those of obscured consciousness who utter flowery words, who are devoted to worldly knowledge and speak of no other position. They speak about the world. Their thoughts are bound by desires for the highest heaven or the highest accomplishment of whatever they choose to call heaven to me for that moment. And their actions give the fruit of rebirth. After I achieve that goal, then I have to achieve that goal. And after I achieve that goal, I want something else. And I keep moving the goal posts until I can't define any other goal. And they perform many special acts for the supremacy of enjoyment. For those who have directed their intelligence to the supremacy of enjoyment as the delight of consciousness, absorption in divine consciousness is not contemplated. If you're constantly dwelling on objects of the sense, on enjoyments of the world, then you're not thinking about divinity. Clarity of pure devotion, there is knowledge which contemplates the three attributes of nature, as also that by which one becomes beyond the three gunas, beyond the three attributes of nature, beyond conflict, eternally established in truth, taking refuge in union with his own soul. So either we're pursuing the three gunas or we're pursuing trigunati. We're pursuing devotion to one attribute or another, or we're pursuing parabhakti, the supreme devotion, which has no object, just to be in love. As is the value of a well beside a flood of waters, just so is all worldly knowledge to a knowledgeable one who knows divinity. You have authority over actions, but never over the fruits. Never let your motive be to the fruits of action, nor let your attachment cause inefficiency. All right, now, Arjun, you're being pretty inefficient. You're refusing to go to battle in pursuit of your ideal because of your attachment to all the various forms of negativity that are opposing you on the battlefield. Perform all action established in union. Renouncing all attachment, conqueror of wealth, Arjun, remaining the same in success or in failure. Such equilibrium is called yoga. Chitta vritti nirodh iti yoga. The prohibition of all changes and modifications in the objects of awareness. This is yoga, to be in complete equilibrium. This is yoga. There is no I, and there is no you, and there is no union. There is only we. And that's called yoga. For inferior actions are far from union with intelligence. Just ask Swami. Oh, the actions that are not in union with intelligence are quite inferior. In fact, they're downright stupid. Excuse me. Conqueror of wealth, Arjun, seek refuge in intelligence. Miserable are those motivated by fruits. United with intelligence, one abandons good actions and bad actions. Therefore, strive to attain union in yoga. Yoga is efficient action. Perfect. So we talked in terms of Shankya, where we were discriminating between the eternal soul and the transient and the temporary nature. And now we're talking about yoga. How do you unite the Purusha and the Prakriti, our eternal soul, with our transient nature? How do we put them in union and balance and harmony and act from a position of equanimity and equilibrium and achieve efficiency in every action? Iti yoga. That is the definition of yoga. Efficiency in every action. Karma yoga has 7 kinds. Puja, Pat, Hom, Sangit, Nrit, Pravachan, and Arpana. That's Siddhantachara. The actions which are, the behaviors, the achar, which are produced in accordance with Scripture, just as defined by Siddhanta. This is called Siddhanta Achara. If we are acting in Siddhanta Achara without a wandering mind, we achieve yoga. Efficient action. Can we perform every action as an offering to God? Arpana? Then yoga is efficient action. Wise men who are united with intelligence renounce the fruit born of their actions and attain liberation from the bondage of birth. They go to a blissful state. Because if you do what you do, thinking about what you're going to get for doing it, you're going to be in conflict. But if you do what you do because you're in love with God and you want to let her know, you go to a blissful state, you have fun doing it, you enjoy doing it, and whatever fruit you get, you get. And who cares about the fruit? I don't ever want it to end. They go to a blissful state. When your intelligence will overcome being covered with ignorance, then you will attain indifference to what is heard and what will be heard. Madhu and Koitaba cannot be born from the dirt of your ears because you are indifferent. Who cares what people are saying outside? I know what I'm feeling inside. I'm chanting with the love of God in my heart. Who cares if people say, I don't like your chanting? What difference does that make to me? I'm not chanting for you. I'm chanting for her. I'm chanting for the God inside. I don't like your pronunciation. Okay, so you become indifferent to everything which is heard and which will be heard. When your intelligence will rest without movement, free from hearing false opinions, free from mistakes and free from errors, it will be fixed in pure intuitive vision. Iti darshan. This is darshan. This pure intuitive vision, you don't have to think about it, you know it. It's true. Then you will attain union in yoga. And clarity of pure devotion said, O embodiment of the functions of creation, preservation, and transformation, Krishna, that's Keshava, Ka-e-sha, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar, expound upon he who is established in wisdom, who experiences pure intuitive vision, who has fixed his mind. How does such a being speak? How does he sit? How does he move? Describe him to me. And the respected Supreme Divinity said, Son of she who excels Arjuna, ignoring all desires born of the mind. We're free from desire. That's such a lower state of being. I don't have to go running off pursuing the fulfillment of every desire that comes to my mind. When one remains satisfied with his own soul and his own soul alone, then he is said to be established in wisdom. The completion, the perfection of union in meditation with his own soul alone is wisdom. That is, there is no difference between Dhyan Yoga and Jnana Yoga. The union through meditation and the union through wisdom are one and the same. And we're going to find later in the text there is Dhyan, Gyan, Bhakti, and Karma. And all four of these are the four constituent elements of one union. There's no difference between any of them. But here we've said, if he meditates on his own soul alone, he has wisdom. Then he is said to be established in wisdom, whose mind remains without obstacles when in pain, who remains free from desires when in pleasure, who is free from passion, fear, and anger, is said to be the wise one who has fixed his mind, who is equally in love with all that is, attains neither elation nor aversion to the pure and impure. Such a being is established in wisdom. When he can withdraw his senses from their objects of perception, pratyahara, he brings all his senses inside, just as a tortoise withdraws his limbs. Such a being is established in wisdom. From a wearer of a body who does not partake, desire itself turns away. Desire knocks on the door. Knock, knock. Anyone home? And the wearer of the body says, no. And desire itself turns away. What a waste of time. How much longer can I stand outside knocking on the door? I'll go to some other household who will open the door. For one who has perceived the supreme, the experience of emotion is devoid of emotion. He's always turned on. He's always in a good state of mind. O son of she, who takes away the deficiency of others, Arjuna. For the senses are so strong as to harass even the wisest of men, to carry away the mind even of he who makes an effort. Those are strong senses. They'll carry away the mind even of he who is strong. Mother said in the Chandi, she throws us all into the whirlpool of attachment and makes us spin. having controlled all of them, sit in union with me, the highest. For he who has subdued his senses becomes established in his wisdom. The man who meditates upon any idea cultivates attachment. From attachment comes desire, and from desire comes anger. If you meditate on anything, you're going to cultivate attachment to whatever you meditate upon. So you better choose wisely. Choose with discrimination, because you will cultivate attachment. And from attachment comes desire, and from desire comes anger. So if you're going to get angry about something, get angry about not being in union with God. It's our choice. From anger comes ignorance, from ignorance confusion of memory, and from confusion of memory the intellect is destroyed, and when the intellect is destroyed, one is lost. Sarvanash. He whose soul takes control of the various ideas, wandering with the movement of the senses, that knowledgeable soul attains as a gift of offering freedom from the activities of feeling, sentiments, or passions. So you stop offering opinions about things and you just understand their essence. You don't just think about them, you feel them internally. The gift of offering gives birth to the loss of all pain, whereby the intelligent one becomes firmly established in the delight of consciousness. You just give it up. You just make it an offering. Mom, here's another desire you can take away. And you feel so good. When you give, you lose all the pain and you delight in consciousness. This cannot be for one who is not united with the intellect, nor for one who is not united with an attitude of awareness. And for one without an attitude of awareness, there is no peace. And for one without peace, how can there be happiness? I mean, we're seeking success and we're seeking attainment, and I want to get this and I want to get that. But if I don't have peace, I'm not going to enjoy it. There won't be happiness. For the movement of the senses enjoins the mind in contemplation. You see and you think. And every time there's a roop, then there's a name. And nam and roop, a name and form correspond. And I see a form and I put a name to it. And then the name says, whoa, that's a nice name for a nice form. Hello, Mr. Form. Wouldn't you like to come home with me and eternally be a trophy in my mantle place? For the movement of the senses enjoins the mind in contemplation that takes away his wisdom as a boat is pushed across the waters by the wind. Therefore, O one of mighty arms, Arjun, he whose senses have been consistently restrained from the objects of perception is established in wisdom. Just don't go to the mall. If you go to the mall, take a list. If you have a list, you buy the stuff on the list and come home. And don't go window shopping. Because every time your senses fall on an object, your mind puts a name with the object and the form. And the form says, gee, wouldn't I look nice in your house? Do you have a big enough house for me? Get another house. Get a bigger house. Get a bigger storage room. Get a bigger... You need more. You're not enough until I come home with you. That which all existence regards as darkness inspires wakefulness to he who practices self-control. That which inspires wakefulness to the rest of existence, the wise man perceives as darkness. And just go into the variety stores in the mall, and you'll see how well lit they are. The department stores have so much light, and it's light to worldliness and darkness to the yogi. And what is light to the yogi, well, how can you sit there and close your eyes in meditation? You don't have all the things of them all. That which inspires wakefulness to the rest of existence, the wise man perceives as darkness. Just as waters enter the ocean, which fills but does not overflow, just so all desires are attained for he who has attained peace, not for he who desires greater pleasure. If you have peace, you've got the highest. That man who renounces all desires and moves without desires, without attachment, without ego, he or she has peace. O son of she who excels Arjuna, this is establishment of this in supreme divinity, wherein one becomes free from delusion. Being thus established, even at the end of time, he will attain complete dissolution in supreme divinity. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.
Thank you.
Iti Dvitiyam Adhyaya. Let's see if there are any questions. There was a whole lot in this chapter because we went through the processes of Sankhya philosophy, which are the 24 principles which discriminate between Purush and Prakriti, or the eternal soul and the transient nature. And now we're going through the enumeration of the principles of yoga. What happens when there's only one? The two are united. And there is no division, there's no separation between Purush and Prakriti. Only there's illumination. Please.
We have a question from Manish.
Namaste, Monish.
Namaste. What is the nature of Dharma? What are the various forms of Dharma, i.e. Sanatan Dharma, Swadharma, etc.? And how do we apply them today? And does Dharma really change as often as society changes? If so, why do people still adhere to Dharma from more than 2,000 years ago?
Well, according to the text that we just read, Monish, there is only one Dharma. There's the eternal ideal of perfection. It's the Sanatan Dharma. Now, in transient terms, there's a Yuga Dharma, there's a Vyakti Dharma, there's a Swadharma, there's an individual Dharma, there's a societal Dharma, there's the prevalence of an ideal of perfection. If you come to the Devi Mandir, you'll find it is Satya Yuga, the age of truth. Srimai illuminates and inspires all the inhabitants of Devi Mandir to be one with truth, consciousness, and bliss, and worship is our way of life. If you go to Ayodhya, or Janakpur, or Sitapur, you'll find that it is Treta Yuga. The Yuga Dharma is Ram is the king of Ayodhya. Everybody, wherever you go, say Sitaram, Sitaram. If you go to Mathura, Vrindavan, it is definitely Dwapar Yuga. Everybody in Mathura, in Vrindavan Dham, Bolo Radhe Sham, everybody is saying Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna. If you go to downtown San Francisco, you will find it is Kali Yuga. The prevalent Dharma of society is get more for me, get more for me. Now, that's the society Dharma. However, Shrima lives individually. Her Swadharma, her Vyakti Dharma is Satyug. Wherever she goes, she carries Satyug with her. Even if she goes to downtown San Francisco and the rest of the world is in Kali Yuga, in the age of darkness, Srimai illuminates the light of truth. I testify. Shivani will testify. Pranavananda, everybody who goes with us, we carry bags of groceries down the street, into the hospital, into the doctor's offices. We feed everybody prasad, and everybody says, "Oh, what beautiful clothing you're wearing." And they all stop their darkness and they say, oh, you're shining, you're illuminated. Can I have another cookie? You look so beautiful, you are radiating. Can I have a samosa?
Day before yesterday in the hospital, I was like, excuse me, and we didn't realize she was talking with us, behind her, and then she was coming, excuse me. Ultimately, we looked behind. Your clothes is so beautiful.
It's true. Wherever she goes, Monish, it is Satya Yuga. So the Bhakti Yuga, the individual Dharma, her ideal of perfection is stronger than the society's prevailing attitude. So now we are products of all the various dharmas where we go to. If you are strong and fixed in your dharma, you carry your dharma with you, and you are not influenced by the attitudes that surround you. And that's our goal. Our objective is to unite our Purusha and our Prakriti, to become one, fixed in divinity, fixed in supreme divinity, and free from delusion. And wherever we go, we carry our Dharma. That illumination goes with us. It doesn't matter what society is thinking, or what they're feeling, or what they're worried about, or what their concerns are. We go to illuminate divinity. So there are various forms of definitions of the ideal of perfection. Our primary concern is Sanatana Dharma. That's why her actual name is Sanatani Ma. Shri Sanatani Ma, she is the eternal mother of respect. The highest respect, which has perfect peace in her mind and in her heart, eternally. She'll go to Kali Yuga, to Dwapar Yuga, to Treta Yuga. Wherever she goes, it becomes Satya Yuga. Now that's how Dharma operates on all the different levels. Please.
We have a question from Sadatmananda.
Namaste, Sadatmananda.
Namaste. How do we speak out against injustice and untruth without becoming attached and angry?
Oh, anger is not going to accomplish your objective. You want to define what is your objective and then think about, discriminate what is the path to achieving that objective. Getting angry is an emotional response and it is devoid of intelligence. So now stop and put an interlude between stimulus and response. You do not have to respond immediately. Stop and think about the appropriate response. How are you going to demonstrate that your ideal of perfection is worthy of consideration? Certainly it should be sufficiently worthy that your opponents or those with whom you are contesting, they will stop and think about the nature of your commitment. They will see your dedication. They will observe your devotion. They will see your sincerity. And if nothing else, they will respect you for not getting angry. Because anger will not accomplish your purpose. Sadatmananda, look deeply and discriminate intuitively. What kind of behavior is going to create a greater sense of harmony in this circumstance? And that will be the definition of the behavior that you want to pursue. That will be your dharma. To speak with intelligence, to speak with authority, but not to speak with anger.
We have a question from Laura in Vermont.
Namaste, Laura in Vermont.
Namaste. So far, I'm less than thrilled by Krishna's arguments. Does the fact that we have an eternal soul mean an eternity of battlefields? What if we don't want to fight anymore?
Laura in Vermont, please fight the battle. Rise like a warrior. Here you have all the good thoughts. Here you have all the bad thoughts. Now, don't surrender to the bad thoughts. Just like in the Chandi, we called upon Mother to take away the energy from the bad thoughts, illuminate the good thoughts, send the gods back to heaven, make Sabarni the prevailing manifestation of mind for 100 repetitions of Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali Yuga, for 100 yugas. For 100 kalpas, we want Sabarni, who belongs to all, to illuminate our minds. Yeah, Laura, because we are the wearer of the body, we are free from attachment to the bad. We are free from attachment to the good. We are just established in supreme divinity, and we are free from delusion. That will be our objective. That will be the goal of fighting the battle. That's the reason for which we fight. That's the reason for which we recognize and remember that we are the wearer of the body. I am neither biased or prejudiced against the bad or against the good. I am the wearer of the body. I am just the seer. Please.
We have a question from Ambika.
Namaste, Ambika.
Namaste. I know many people who do not have the same belief system about the body, the eternal soul, and death. When someone dies, they grieve for a long time. Is there a difference between grieving for the loss of a loved one and feeling sad and missing them? Isn't sadness a natural emotion?
Sadness is a natural emotion, but grief, are you grieving for the person who has gone, or are you grieving for your own loss? Are you grieving from your selfish attachment, or are you grieving actually because someone has made their transition? The person who has transcended has actually probably gone to a better place than he was at before he left. So aren't we really are experiencing sadness and grieving for my loss because that was my friend or the source of my comfort or the source of my whatever? I got something from that relationship, and that's why I'm not going to get it anymore. I'm sad. And that's not real grief. That's not real sadness. That's just plain selfishness.
We have a question from Moshami and Siddharth.
Namaste, Moshami. Namaste, Siddharth.
Pranam. How can we remain the same in success and failure inside ourselves? We can pretend on the outside nothing has happened, but in the inner inside we do feel pain or pleasure. Will that state automatically come through doing continuous puja and other divine activities?
Yes, it will. Moshami, it will come. We go inside to that Nirguna Brahman. We go inside into that state of samadhi. We go through the koshas, from the Annamaya kosh to the Pranamaya kosh, from the Pranamaya kosh to the Manamaya kosh, from the Manamaya kosh to the Vijnanamaya kosh, from Vijnanamaya kosh to the Anandamaya kosh. And why would you be sad in the Anandamaya kosh? Is it possible for you to be sad or for you to grieve over the loss or the failure of a certain project or a certain activity? Or for you to be elated? When you reach that state of samadhi, then you just stay in samadhi. There is no grief. There is no elation. There is no success. There is no failure. There's only the illumination of God. And that's where you achieve the highest bliss. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.